Face a brand new chart for the head and for the heart. It's your journey, your tools.
You know, when your computer just like freezes up completely, the fan is spinning like a jet engine, and then boom, it's hard crashes.
Oh yeah, the dreaded blue screen.
Exactly. And our instinct is always to blame the machine, right? We slam the desk, call it a piece of junk, and assume it's just totally broken.
Right.
But, I mean, any IT person will tell you the hardware is actually fine. It was just, running an outdated operating system that couldn't handle the massive processing load you threw at it.
Yeah, the crash wasn't a failure at all.
No. It was the computer doing exactly what it was programmed to do, to protect the hard drive from literally melting.
I love that analogy because, well, if we inherently understand that a machine shuts down to survive a systemic overload, why do we treat human behavior so differently?
Right.
Like when you spend 4 hours doom scrolling to block out an overwhelming week, or you find yourself compulsively overworking to just outrun your anxiety, society defaults to labeling you as broken.
Yeah, we call it a character flaw or, a lack of discipline. Well, welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive.
Yeah.
We are looking at a really fascinating clinical report called the Recovery Protocol, Rewiring the Brain to Heal Addiction.
It's such a powerful read.
It really is. And our mission today is to basically fundamentally upgrade how you view your own operating system. Because the hard neurobiological truth is that the behaviors you use to numb out, they are not moral failings.
Not at all.
They're misdirected survival mechanisms.
Yeah, your brain built this brilliant, highly effective escape hatch to protect you from pain, especially when you didn't have any other tools available. So today is really about giving you the exact cognitive frameworks and, the biological leverage to build an empowering new system.
Because your capacity for change is immense. But, to harness it, we first have to figure out why your brain installed this specific escape hatch in the first place, right?
Right, because we don't just pick our bad habits out of a hat.
No, definitely not. The report leans really heavily into psychiatrist Edward Constein's self-medication hypothesis.
Yes, a totally paradigm-shifting concept.
It really proves that we unconsciously gravitate toward escapes that perfectly match our underlying emotional deficits.
Exactly. Like, think about the person running chronically high on social anxiety.
Okay.
Their nervous system is just scorching hot, right? They're constantly scanning for threats.
Always on edge.
Yeah. Now, they rarely reach for a stimulant. They reach for alcohol or endless scrolling or benzodiazepines.
Because they need to come down.
Right, because those specific behaviors flood the brain with GABA. They actively depress the central nervous system. It's basically a pharmacological shield against their internal panic.
Wow. Okay, but then, flip the scenario. Look at someone wrestling with the crushing lethargy of clinical depression or the chronic dopamine deficit of, untreated ADHD.
Right, totally different state.
Yeah, their engine is totally stalled out, so they turn to workaholism or gambling or, heavy stimulants.
Because they're desperately trying to force a massive surge of dopamine and norepinephrine.
Exactly, just to jumpstart the engine and force focus.
And the mechanism behind profound emotional trauma is even more specific.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Folks dealing with deep-seated abandonment or isolation, they often gravitate toward opioids or compulsive eating.
Okay, why is that?
Well, those behaviors heavily activate the mu-opioid receptors, and we usually think of those receptors just in terms of physical pain relief, but they also govern emotional attachment.
Wait, really?
Yes. They artificially simulate the warmth of human connection.
Oh, wow. It's like wrapping yourself in a chemical blanket when the real world just feels freezing cold.
That's exactly it.
It totally brings to mind Dr. Gabor Mate's guiding philosophy. He says, ask not why the addiction, but why the pain.
I love that quote.
Because we spend so much time attacking the symptom that we completely ignore the cause.
We really do. In acceptance and commitment therapy, they refer to this as experiential avoidance.
Experiential avoidance. Okay.
Yeah, it's when we try to use external actions to selectively numb our uncomfortable internal experiences. But human biology, it just doesn't allow for selective numbing.
Right. If you numb the bad, you numb the good.
Exactly. When you throw a heavy blanket over the pain, you inevitably smother your joy, your connection, and, your sense of purpose right along with it.
It's like having a smoke alarm blaring in a burning house.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, society looks at the numbing behavior, right? The drinking, the scrolling, the working, and screams, "Smash the smoke alarm! The noise is ruining
All
everything!"
right, fix the annoyance.
Exactly. But the alarm is just doing its job. It's alerting you to the fire, which is the underlying systemic stress.
Yeah.
Smashing the plastic casing on the ceiling doesn't magically put out the flames in the kitchen.
It doesn't. But, the natural question is, if the alarm starts as a logical survival mechanism to alert us to danger, how does it mutate into this compulsive, destructive loop that we just can't seem to stop?
Right, the biological hijack. Neuroscientist George Koob and Nora Volkow mapped out the exact biology here, and it completely dismantles the whole lack of willpower myth.
Completely.
It's a three-stage cycle. It starts with the binge or the intoxication phase, whatever your chosen agent is. It sends a dopamine tsunami down the mesolimbic pathway.
A literal tsunami. We're
Mhm.
talking up to 10 times the neurochemical signal of natural rewards, like eating a good meal.
10 times. Wow.
Yeah. And when your basal ganglia gets hit with a signal that massive, it panics.
Doesn't know what to do with it.
Right. It interprets that artificial flood as a massive survival necessity. It basically says, I don't know what we just did, but we have to automate this immediately or we will die.
So it literally takes the steering wheel away from your conscious choice.
Yes. It makes the behavior a stimulus-driven reflex.
Unbelievable. But then the real trap springs in stage 2, right? The withdrawal.
Oh, yeah.
Because as that massive dopamine spike crashes, your extended amygdala goes into absolute overdrive.
It does. Your brain isn't just dropping back to a normal baseline. It's actively defending itself against the previous flood by shutting down its own dopamine receptor.
It's not compensating.
Exactly. And you fall into this profound state of anhedonia. You lose the biological ability to feel pleasure from normal, everyday things.
That sounds miserable.
It is. Your baseline state becomes pure anxiety and irritability. It's called hypercataphea. And the nature of the behavior totally shifts at this point. You aren't chasing a high anymore.
You're just seeking relief.
Yes. You're desperately seeking relief just to silence the alarm and feel normal again.
Which drags us right into stage 3, the preoccupation. We know that chronic numbing physically degrades the prefrontal cortex.
The logical command center.
Right. You lose gray matter density, and the metabolic activity in your executive command center just plummets.
Yeah.
Your cravings are firing on completely corrupted beta, just screaming that you need the escape to survive.
And your executive center is literally too structurally compromised to hit the brakes.
Wait, let me stop you there. Because if my prefrontal cortex is literally shrinking,
Yeah.
and my decision-making center is running on corrupted data, aren't I just biologically doomed?
I know it sounds that way, but
I mean, it sounds like you're telling me the brake lines are completely cut and I'm supposed to just accept the crash. How is that empowering?
well, what's fascinating here is that the exact same mechanism that locked you into the cycle is what gets you out.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. The fact that your brain can structurally alter itself to automate a destructive loop proves its immense neuroplastic capacity.
Right. The machinery isn't broken.
Exactly. It's just currently wiring the wrong habits. If you can wire a deep, compulsive numbing reflex, you possess the exact same biological leverage to wire an empowering, resilient one.
So it's the old rule of Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together wire together.
Precisely. When you practice new responses, your brain engages in synaptic pruning.
Meaning it clears out the old stuff.
Yeah, it systematically starves the old pathways and builds new, healthier ones. But we do have to be honest about the timeline here.
Right. It doesn't happen overnight.
No. This structural remodeling takes roughly 12 to 24 months.
So it's a long game.
It is, but during that window, the healing is measurable. The dopamine receptors gradually replenish. The gray matter in the prefrontal cortex regrows.
And isn't that largely driven by neurotrophic factors like BDNF?
Yes. Think of brain-derived neurotrophic factor as, like, miracle grow for your neural pathways.
Miracle Grow. I like that.
It's the biological fertilizer that allows these fragile new habits to actually take root and survive the pruning process.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Knowing that this takes time completely reorients how we have to look at slipping up or relapsing.
Oh, 100%.
The protocol brings in Dr. Brené Brown's research on the difference between shame and guilt.
Such an important distinction.
Right. Shame is the core belief that I am bad. But guilt is the belief that I did something bad.
And biologically, that distinction is massive. Because if you internalize a slip-up as shame, you instantly trigger a massive physiological threat response.
The shame screen.
Exactly. Your brain pulls up the shame screen, which forces you straight back into fight or flight. And, well, what do you do when your amygdala is panicking?
You immediately reach for the very numbing behavior you're trying to quit.
Right. Shame guarantees a relapse.
It's like a scientist running an experiment in a lab. If the beaker explodes, the scientist doesn't sit on the floor crying and attacking their own character.
No, they don't.
They look at the mess and say, cool, new data, the temperature was too high.
Yes, we have to look at our behavioral slip-ups purely as data.
Exactly. If I broke my streak and spent 3 hours doom scrolling, I don't need to hate myself.
Yeah.
I need to look at the variables.
Was I running on 3 hours of sleep?
Right. Was I triggered by a passive-aggressive email from my boss? We fix the variables, we don't attack the core identity.
But to gather that objective data and, give your brain the energy to actually rebuild, we have to stop leaning on sheer willpower.
Because willpower is finite.
Very finite. It lives in that prefrontal cortex, which we know is easily exhausted by stress, decision fatigue, cognitive load.
And when your PFC gets tired, it experiences what they call local sleep, right?
Yeah. It literally powers down sections of itself to conserve energy.
And when the PFC sleeps, the basal ganglia takes over the driving.
It defaults to the oldest, strongest, most automated habit you have.
Which is usually the numbing behavior.
Exactly. So instead of just trying harder, the protocol demands that we build a systemic framework. And the absolute non-negotiable foundation of that framework is 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
Sleep is your neurological shield.
It really is. Without it, the functional connectivity between your logical PFC and your emotional amygdala is essentially severed.
Wow.
The logic center physically cannot send inhibitory signals to calm down the emotional center. You are just raw nerve endings reacting to every single stressor.
That makes so much sense. And then the second pillar of the baseline is aerobic exercise.
Yes.
And we aren't talking about this from like a fitness or weight loss perspective. This is pure neuro repair.
Pure biology.
Vigorous movement floods the brain with that BDNF, that neural miracle grow we talked about, boosting it by 200 to 300%.
It's incredible. It directly fights the anhedonia and accelerates the growth of those new synapses.
Okay, but hold on. Once you secure that biological baseline, what's next? Because you're saying big recovery goals are actually a bad idea.
I am.
But our culture loves big, audacious goals. We love the dramatic declarations like, I will never, ever engage in this bad habit again starting right now.
I know, we live a massive goal, but massive declarations terrify the amygdala.
Oh, really? Why?
It perceives a giant, absolute lifestyle change as a threat to your established survival routine. The amygdala hits the panic button, overloads the prefrontal cortex, and, well, you immediately relapse.
Oh, so it backfires completely.
Entirely. That's why you utilize habit stacking instead. It flies totally under that threat detection radar.
Lowering the cognitive load.
Right. Instead of saying, I'm going to meditate for an hour every morning, which requires immense willpower.
Which you probably don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You take a habit the basal ganglia has already automated, like making your morning coffee.
Okay.
And while the water is boiling, you stack 2 minutes of deep breathing onto it. You aren't forcing the brain to build a new routine from scratch. You're just adding a tiny rider to a train that's already moving.
That is so smart. So we have the baseline. We have the sleep, the movement, the micro habits.
Yeah.
But what about the moment of impact?
Right.
Because it's Tuesday night, the workday was a disaster, you're exhausted, and the craving to numb out hits you like a freight train.
It happens to everyone.
What is the actual on-the-ground tool when the alarm is blaring?
It comes down to prying open the space between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl famously noted that in that tiny space lies our freedom to choose.
And addiction basically erases that space.
It does. To get it back, the protocol introduces the 15-minute urge audit.
The urge audit, okay.
It's a masterclass in cognitive diffusion, which is basically learning to observe a thought without treating it as absolute reality.
So the rule is simple. When the urge hits, you pause for exactly 15 minutes.
Exactly 15.
You don't scream into a pillow, you don't fight the craving, and you definitely don't try to suppress it. You just step back and act as a compassionate scientist observing the sensation.
Because biologically, an urge is just a transient wave. It is a dopamine prediction error.
A prediction error?
Yeah. Your brain expected a hit relief, didn't get it, and through a biochemical tantrum.
Wow.
If you just wait, the wave will inevitably rise to a terrifying peak, and then it will naturally crash and dissipate on its own.
And while you are riding that wave, you do something called effect labeling.
Yes.
You ask yourself one vital diagnostic question. What specific feeling am I trying to turn off right now?
That is the key.
Like, am I incredibly lonely? Am I dreading a difficult conversation tomorrow? Am I just physically exhausted?
By identifying and naming the exact emotion, you actively shift the blood flow and metabolic activity away from the panicked amygdala.
No, you force it back into the analytical prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. You are using blood flow to regain executive control.
It's the core of the sober space technique.
Right.
SOBER. It transforms from a checklist into an active experience.
Walk us through it.
So you stop what you're doing. You observe the physical tightness in your chest. You breathe deeply, which manually signals your vagus nerve that you aren't being actively chased by a predator.
So important.
You expand your awareness to the room around you to break that intense tunnel vision focus of the craving. And finally, you respond with a conscious choice.
And every single time you surf that wave for 15 minutes without caving, you actively starve the old habit loop.
You prove to the basal ganglia that the craving is not a life or death emergency.
Right.
It totally reminds me of dealing with a toddler throwing an absolute meltdown in the middle of a grocery store.
Oh, that is the perfect analogy.
Right. If you scream back and fight the urge, the tantrum escalates. The toddler thinks, oh, it's a yelling match. I need to scream louder.
Yep.
The parent gets exhausted, gives in, and the toddler learns that screaming works.
Exactly.
But if you just stand there, breathe, and observe the meltdown without reacting, eventually the kid tires themselves out. They realize the strategy's broken. Your basal ganglia is that toddler.
It really is. But we have to armor you for those 15 minutes.
Okay, how so?
Because while you're standing in the grocery store of your mind, your internal monologue is going to attack you.
Oh, for sure.
The brain, desperate for its dopamine hit, will pull up that shame screen and try to convince you that you are weak or that you are inevitably going to fail.
It plays really dirty.
It does. So to counter this, you use a specific neurobiologically grounded affirmation.
And you tell yourself this exact phrase: my past actions are just data, not my destiny. I am strong enough to sit with my discomfort, and I have the power to build systems that support my best self.
It is so deliberate.
It really is. My past actions are just data. Instantly neutralizes the shame response.
Right.
It separates your core identity from the behavioral variables.
Right. And I am strong enough to sit with my discomfort reminds your panicking nervous system that psychological pain is not fatal.
You can survive the feeling without anesthesia.
Yes, and I have the power to build systems that support my best self. This affirms your personal agency and the undeniable reality of neuroplasticity.
You aren't relying on a depleted reservoir of willpower. You are intelligently designing a life that supports your biology.
Exactly.
Well, this brings us full circle. You have an immense, scientifically proven capacity to upgrade your life.
You really do.
Your past is literally just data. Your brain is a highly adaptable, incredible organ that is constantly waiting for new instructions.
Always ready to rewire.
By protecting your prefrontal cortex with sleep and exercise, by utilizing habit stacking to lower the cognitive load, and by mastering the 15-minute urge audit, you are actively neutralizing the automated escape loop.
Yeah.
Remember the computer crash from the beginning. You aren't fixing a broken machine. You are stepping up with total empowerment to upgrade an operating system that kept you safe when you didn't have any other tools.
That is so beautifully said. And if we can leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
Next time you feel the overwhelming urge to numb out, don't ask yourself why you're so weak. Ask yourself, what is my brain trying to save me from right now? And what would happen if, instead of escaping, I finally stepped in and used my newly upgraded operating system to save myself?
It's the strength to build anew. It's the light to guide you through. It's the choice to find your way. Starting here, starting today.
That brings us to the end of our first step into the recovery protocol. I want you to take a deep breath and acknowledge the vital work you have done simply by listening today. If you recognized some of your own numbing behaviors during this episode, please do not sit in shame. Remember our core rule. Your past actions are just data, not your destiny. Your brain was simply doing its job to protect you from stress. It kept you safe when you needed it, but you are now strong enough to install a brand new operating system. You have the neuroplasticity, the resilience, and the absolute power to choose a different response the next time an urge hits. You are deeply capable of reclaiming your control. Are you ready to transform your mindset and build systems that support your best self? The Your Journey. Your Tools app contains the exact blueprints, positive reinforcement, and diagnostic tools you need to thrive. Download the app www.yourjourneyyourtools.com. Be kind to yourself. You are doing better than you think, and I'll catch you on your journey.